Hi everyone, and welcome to our guide and review of the massive, amazing Wonder of the Seas, the fifth in the line of Oasis Class ships from Royal Caribbean International. It was completed in 2022 at a cost of over $1.3 billion, and for a short time it was the world's largest cruise ship.
Mega ships such as Wonder of the Seas often divide opinion. Some people will dread the thought of spending their vacation with 9,000 fellow guests and crew, whilst others relish the opportunities which the facilities on board offer. Now, this is our fourth cruise on an Oasis Class cruise ship, and we were expecting to be extolling its virtues as a great location for a cruise vacation for all generations.
Whilst this ship has an incredible amount to offer, our 7-day cruise from Port Canaveral around the Caribbean left us questioning whether this particular ship and departure port were the right choice for us. We will explain all as we go along.
So in this video we're going to guide you around Wonder of the Seas, and in doing so we'll offer honest feedback for both the lovers and potential haters of these ships. We'll find out if big means better when it comes to cruise ships. Now, this ship is so big that Royal Caribbean elects to describe areas of the ship as neighbourhoods rather than simply by deck, and we'll guide you round those 8 neighbourhoods.
If you're keen to know about the activities and entertainment, then you're in the right place, especially if you don't like your reviews sugar-coated. You'll get an overview of the free food outlets, including the main dining room menus, as well as those for which there is an additional fee. And we'll tell you about the bars and the drink prices, including a quick mention of the packages.
You'll see some of the staterooms, and we'll tell you about the gym, the beauty and the spa areas. Despite its size, we think there are hidden areas of calm aboard Wonder of the Seas, and we'll share those with you. You'll find where we think it falls down.
So let's begin by exploring the layout of the Wonder of the Seas. The ship features 2 sets of elevators here and here, and while the 8 neighbourhoods define much of its structure, there are additional key areas you'll find helpful to know about. We'll cover these at the end of this section.
Now, upon boarding, your first impression will be likely to be of the Royal Promenade. This enclosed area runs along the centre of the ship on deck 5, extending from the main theatre at the front to midway down the ship. Serving as the ship's vibrant heart, it's lined with shops, bars, venues and guest services. Themed party nights are held here, creating an energetic atmosphere we'll discuss in the next section.
For orientation, if you're in the Royal Promenade facing the stairs to the Boardwalk and the iconic red car with the giant silver hat behind you, you're looking towards the back of the ship. Directly ahead are the main dining rooms with the Windjammer buffet located above on deck 15.
Heading toward the middle of the ship from the Royal Promenade, you'll find elegant stairs leading to deck 6 and the Boardwalk neighbourhood. Designed with an English seaside theme, this area features a charming old-fashioned carousel, a sports bar, various dining options and the impressive aqua theatre at its aft. Also at the back of the Boardwalk are the rock climbing walls and the end of the Abyss slide, which starts all the way up on deck 16.
Now on deck 4, Entertainment Place hosts the main theatre, a jazz club, an ice skating rink and a comedy club, all located near the front of the ship. The casino, divided into smoking and non-smoking sections, is also situated here. This is where the neighbourhood theme becomes a bit blurred because, as you'll discover shortly, there is much more by the way of entertainment on the ship, including the aqua theatre and themed parties along the Royal Promenade.
Next up are Vitality Spa and Fitness Centre. You might be used to finding the gym and spa on a high deck, but on Wonder of the Seas they're located on deck 6 at the front. We'll go into these in a bit more depth towards the end of the video.
Central Park, located on Deck 8, is an open-air, leafy haven featuring specialty restaurants, upscale shops, the charming Park Cafe and the cosy Trellis Bar. It's a delightful spot to visit both day and night, though keep in mind it is fully open to the elements, but I think it's my favourite place.
The pool and sports zone spans nearly the entire length of the ship across decks 15 and 16. As the name suggests, it features 4 outdoor pools, numerous whirlpools, water slides and a wide range of sports activities. Highlights at the ship's aft include a mini golf course, a basketball court that also serves as a pickleball court, a flow rider surf simulator, a giant slide and a thrilling zip line.
Now, all these activities are complimentary, but it's worth noting that some require signed disclaimers. To save time during the cruise, consider completing this process and obtaining your wristband on embarkation day. Be aware that queues can build up during the day, particularly on sea days, so planning ahead is advisable.
Now, although we didn't use the kids club since our children are grown up, the ship offers an extraordinary variety of activities for kids and teens. Parents we spoke to were highly impressed with the quality and range of options available, making this a standout feature for families.
The Suite Neighbourhood, exclusively for suite guests, is located at the very top of the ship on decks 17 and 18. This area offers premium amenities and privacy for those staying in suite accommodations. Not us.
We're going to cover dining options in a few minutes, but for completeness, the 2 biggest dining venues are the main dining rooms, spread across decks 3, 4 and 5 at the back of the ship, and the Windjammer Buffet, also at the back but way up on deck 15.
Whoop. A favourite of ours is the solarium, located at the front of the ship with its entrance on deck 15. This serene, adults-only area is perfect for relaxation and enjoying the view in a peaceful setting. The solarium roof on this ship has been revised to maintain a more consistent and comfortable temperature, whatever the weather. So a quick pause here for us to make a request. We are trying to build our channel so that we can offer more videos that we hope you will find useful. If you like what you're seeing here, then we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button. Thank you, and back to the show. So let's move on to entertainment and activities. Based on previous Oasis Class ship experiences, we were particularly excited to cover the entertainment on this ship. Let's start in the 1,400-seat Royal Theatre. We'll be honest, on this cruise we felt that the offering here fell short of our expectations. The 2 production shows were short and below the standard of past cruises, with one in particular seemingly targeted more towards younger guests, and the other acts, including a juggler and 2 very poor comedians, were not in a league that we'd expect on a ship of this size. And even more disappointingly is that there is no Broadway show at all on this boat.
Now, there was better news, however, in the Aqua Theatre, where this incredible venue didn't disappoint, with a superbly choreographed diving and dance show. No mean feat on a swaying cruise ship in 30-mile-an-hour winds.
Now, equally, the ice show was the best we've seen at sea, keeping us enthralled for the full 45 minutes. It's worth noting that the ship operates on a reservation system for all these venues via the app, although unbooked or unclaimed seats are released 10 minutes before the show starts, and people were rarely turned away.
There were 3 parties in the Royal Promenade during our cruise, all starting later in the evening, themed around music between the 60s and the 90s. These are great fun, and on previous cruises they have been very much about audience participation, facilitated by the activities staff. On our cruise, whilst entertaining and well run, they felt a little bit more like an opportunity to be entertained rather than join in. Quite a contrast to Celebrity, where these events very much fill the dance floor with grown-ups reliving their youth.
Live music was also offered at other venues around the ship, including Boleros in the Royal Promenade, Schooner's Bar on Deck 6 and the Music Hall on Deck 8.
Down on Deck 4, next to the ice skating rink, is the Comedy Club, featuring, unfortunately, the same average comedians as performed in the main theatre. There's a jazz club and smoking and non-smoking casinos.
Back on the Royal Promenade, Spotlight Karaoke offers, as its name suggests, in addition to various quizzes. But once again, these didn't quite hit the spot. One thing we have learned about the entertainment on cruise ships is that the cruise director can be a key factor in setting the standard and inspiring their activities staff. As you'll see from our reviews of Celebrity Edge, Reflection and Sun Princess, the cruise directors for these trips were without doubt a defining factor in taking the entertainment from average to excellent. Now, unfortunately for me personally, the cruise director on Wonder of the Seas did fall short.
In terms of activities, these are almost too numerous to mention individually. Zumba was held in the Royal Promenade, whilst the pool areas around decks 15 and 16 hosted zip lines, basketball competitions, mini golf, water slides, the Abyss, a fantastic water park for little ones, and the single flow rider, to name but a few. The staff running these are friendly and efficient.
Now, there is just a single flow rider on Wonder of the Seas compared with 2 on other Oasis Class ships. This is a shame because it is a great draw for teens and adults and meant more queuing on this boat.
Now, we'll expand more on this at the end, but we think that this, along with the poorer theatre offering, is maybe a sign that Wonder of the Seas is being targeted at families with young children to a greater extent than other ships.
So what about many people's favourite topic on a cruise? The food. Let's start in the main dining room, located as with most modern cruise ships at the back of the vessel, spread across decks 3, 4 and 5.
It's pretty impressive at first sight, although if you're allocated one of the tables near the entrance here, you might find the passing traffic a bit annoying. We opted for the later fixed time seating at 8:30 rather than the earlier 5:45 sitting. The service was friendly, polished and efficient, and the staff particularly engaging.
They explained the menu choices, made recommendations, and the waiter and assistant were also responsible for drink orders. There was no sommelier. Each day the menu is available on the TVs by the restaurant entrances and also on the app. More on that later. So, what about the standard of the food?
Well, the standard of the food is quite subjective, and I personally, being very honest, felt it was a slight step down from Celebrity, for example, but I pretty much expected that given that the two brands are designed to be different. You, on the other hand?
I thought it was the best main dining restaurant I've ever been in on any ship.
Well, praise indeed, but the reality is, if there is any difference, it is small, and if this was your first ever cruise, we don't think you'd be disappointed. There was a choice each evening of 6 starters and 8 mains, including a selection of always on items.
At the bottom of the menu, there is also an option to pay a supplement to upgrade your menu to something special, such as lobster tail for $17.
Now, in addition to the main dining room, what else is included in your standard cruise fare? Well, the buffet, known as the Windjammer on Royal Caribbean, is on deck 15 at the back of the ship.
We were impressed with both the standard and variety on offer, and in this department, it felt like it rivaled Celebrity. We always managed to find seating, and the crew were particularly efficient at clearing tables. Not unusually, it does get busy at peak breakfast and lunchtimes, so electing to eat outside that peak window might be a good option.
Alternatively, you can eat breakfast and lunch for free in the main dining room on deck 3. In the evening at dinner time, crowds are less of an issue in the Windjammer.
In terms of other free dining options, you have
Boardwalk Doghouse on deck 6.
Sorrento's and Cafe Promenade in the Royal Promenade.
El Loco Fresh on deck 16.
Park Cafe in Central Park,
the Solarium Bistro on deck 15,
Vitality Cafe on deck 6 and part of the spa.
We particularly liked the Park Cafe with great salads for lunch and the Solarium Bistro for breakfast.
We also tried the Solarium Bistro for dinner one evening. It's best described as a high-end windjammer, and our review would be mixed. On one hand, the service was good and the starters and desserts were excellent. However, the main courses were a disappointment. They had been left under heat lamps for far too long and had become dry.
A theme of modern day cruise ships is the extensive number of speciality, or in plain English, establishments that you have to pay an extra fee for. We think that the key things to note are that the supplement payable to use them varies considerably.
Starbucks, for example, charges fairly standard prices and offers more or less its standard USA menu. But the supplement for Chops Grill, by contrast, is $65 for dinner. Many charge different supplements depending on whether you eat lunch or dinner, but it's important to note that the lunch menu is often cut down compared to the dinner menu. So if selecting your specialty venue based on the menu, you might make sure you're looking at the right one.
The other key things to note are that the price for the supplement is typically subject to a service charge of 18%. The wine list will often be more expensive than in the main dining room, and many get booked up well in advance, so it can pay to be organised if you're planning to celebrate a special event on a specific date.
It's worth pointing out that you can buy a package that allows you to select either 3 or an unlimited number of visits to the specialty restaurants. Now, these do change from sailing to sailing, and they will also at times be discounted, but for our sailing the options were a 3-night dining package for $115, this is discounted from the full price of $165, or an unlimited dining package for $250, discounted from $385.
It's worth noting that all the drinks and dining packages are subject to an 18% gratuity charge.
Now, if you want an alternative to the paid-for ice cream on the boardwalk, then head up to the pool area where the lovely attendants at Sprinkles will serve you one for free. In terms of drinks, there are no less than 11 bars on Wonder of the Seas, and each has a different theme, from traditional pub through to the iconic Rising Tide bar, which moves up and down between decks 5 and 8 every 30 minutes during the evening.
Our favourites were the Schooner Bar on deck 6, which had a pianist playing and singing every evening, and the Trellis Bar in Central Park. So, how much will you pay for drinks?
Well, let's start with the packages. If you opt for one of the drinks packages, then the base price is currently $115 per person per day, plus 18% gratuity for the alcoholic drinks package, covering drinks up to and including $14, with no daily limit. It's worth noting that if there are 2 adults in a stateroom, then both must purchase the same alcoholic drinks package unless one is, for example, a non-drinker and is willing to state to that effect.
You should note that Royal Caribbean often discount these packages if you buy them before the cruise. Discounts vary by ship, itinerary and the date that you buy them, but we've regularly seen reports that discounts are between 25 and 30% are common, with the highest we've seen reported being 35% discount. It's well worth monitoring your booking to see if new discounts are added. Some cruise fares bundle a drinks package, gratuities and Wi-Fi, both of which we cover later.
They do offer 2 non-alcoholic drink packages which can be bought by just one person in a cabin: the refreshment package and the classic soda package. Note that none of these packages include Starbucks coffees.
Something which we really like about Royal Caribbean is the range and availability of free drinks at venues such as the Windjammer, Café Promenade, Solarium Bistro and Park Cafe.
So if you don't have a drinks package, then here's a guide to the prices of some basic drinks.
It's also worth pointing out that you are permitted to bring a limited amount of your own wine or champagne on embarkation day only. There are slightly differing pieces of guidance online about the exact quantities. However, we think that the most up-to-date is that you can bring 1 bottle per adult of drinking age, which on US-based cruises is 21, and it is best to put this in your hand baggage. If you do put it into your checked cases, then they are likely to get put aside and you will be asked to go to security to verify what the bottles contain. So let's jump in now and start with the staterooms. We'd booked a guarantee inside stateroom, which means that you can be allocated literally any cabin on the ship.
Now, guarantee staterooms offer great value if you're happy not to select the location. We've done this numerous times, and in our experience you rarely are allocated the lowest graded cabin. You do get allocated your cabin typically a couple of weeks before you depart.
For this sailing we were allocated 9470, which is on deck 9 at the front of the ship. Of course everyone is different, but our take on it is that we spend very little time in our cabin and so tend not to trade up for a balcony. You don't get woken up by daylight coming through your curtains or noise of the ship docking, but of course you lose the views over the ocean, unless you count the views offered by the cameras played back on the TV.
Now, the inside staterooms on Wonder of the Seas are actually pretty basic, to be really honest with you. They don't differ greatly from other cruise ships, but the storage space we thought was quite limited, didn't we?
Oh yeah, very limited. Tiny cupboard to hang up your dresses and your suits, and not really very many drawers, or it's a very basic cabin.
Now, one thing to bear in mind is that because this ship is so big, quite a lot of the inside cabins are in blocks right in the middle of the ship, as ours is, so we're actually surrounded on 3 sides by other cabins. Now, the insulation is okay, isn't it, but you do hear people in the other cabins.
You do hear a bit of noise, and I have to say this is my least favourite type of inside cabin.
One option you do have on this ship is to upgrade to one of the other types of inside cabin, and there are quite a few of those different types on Wonder of the Seas. You can overlook the Boardwalk, you can overlook Central Park, and of course there are also ocean view staterooms that don't have a balcony.
Yeah, but be careful, those ones that overlook Central Park are actually classified as balcony.
Okay. Now then, one thing to note on a Royal Caribbean is you only get 1 stateroom service per day, and that is quite different from Celebrity, for example. You do generally get a choice, do you want it in the morning or in the afternoon, but your stateroom attendant will only come once a day.
And they still do the lovely towel animals that we always like, but there is no chocolate, is there? No chocolate left on your pillow for turn down.
Now, the bathroom is adequate but pretty basic. The shower gel and the hair wash that they provide is pretty basic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's no good. Bring your own. And there is no kind of storage drawers in the bathroom either. Okay, so a standard balcony cabin with sea view looks like this. The cabin itself and bathroom are very similar to the inside staterooms, the differentiating factor being the balcony.
It is worth noting, isn't it, that there is quite a bit more storage on a balcony cabin.
Oh yes, there's definitely double the amount of storage on in a balcony cabin.
Now, it is worth noting that the stateroom choice on Wonder of the Seas, and indeed all of the Oasis Class ships, is broader than other standard cruise ships.
It includes virtual balcony cabins as well as cabins with views over the interior atriums and promenades, some offering balconies. One thing which you won't find on Wonder of the Seas are infinite balcony cabins, where the balcony cabin can be partitioned off to become a part of the cabin, as demonstrated on our Celebrity Edge video.
The gym is on deck 6 on this ship, and whilst it lacks the traditional view over the bow, it is incredibly well equipped with an excellent free weights facility. It offers group classes such as spin, Pilates and yoga, charged at between $12 and $20 per class. There are 2 separate studios, one for stretch and one with spin bikes which you can use when there's no class running.
There is a jogging track on deck 5 which takes you right round the ship, which is well designed and has stairs access directly to and from the gym.
The spa offers a wide range of paid treatments such as massage, and also an opportunity to purchase a day pass for the spa areas. This is typically $30 per person per day, although you may get a discount on a port day.
We didn't use the spa area but did view it and didn't feel that it would warrant spending $30 on. And this was backed up by fellow guests who reported that there are much better spas at sea available.
One thing to look out for is that they do sometimes offer 5-minute taster massages in the Royal Promenade. If you decide to pamper yourself, then expect to pay around $150 plus gratuity for a 1-hour massage. Prices vary according to demand, and they do sometimes do manager specials on port days, for example.
They also offer the usual selection of seminars on things like how to lose weight, presumably after your cruise, and footprint analysis. The entrance area to the gym and spa also includes the spa cafe, where you can buy healthy juices and yummy smoothies. Let's touch on the embarkation and disembarkation processes now. Much of the preparation was done online before arrival. We arrived at the Port Canaveral terminal at 11 AM in accordance with our booked embarkation time. The lines to enter were already building, and it took 20 minutes just to get inside.
Once inside, we discovered that the lines were caused by waits for security, with quite a number of the scanners being closed. It then took a further hour of waiting to get through security. The good news was that after security there was no wait to be checked in. We had our photos taken and documents confirmed all within 5 minutes, and we were on board Wonder of the Seas 10 minutes later. They did not ask to see our esters.
You board onto the Royal Promenade, which is a great introduction to the ship, and our stateroom was ready at 2 PM. Our stateroom card was waiting for us by our stateroom door. Disembarkation was much more efficient, the use of facial recognition by US immigration making that whole process a breeze. It does seem, however, that Port Canaveral lacks some of the infrastructure of Port Everglades. Taxis and Uber were very expensive, and we had to wait in line for well over an hour for the Avis shuttle bus to collect us for our car rental.
The Royal Caribbean app works well, and we'd recommend installing it well ahead of your departure. Once aboard, you can connect to the ship's Wi-Fi for free, even if you don't have an internet package, and use it for everything from accessing the daily activities, booking dining, through to messaging fellow guests, and also interacting with guest services. A very useful feature which saves the time and hassle of trekking to guest services desk on the Royal Promenade.
Wi-Fi is not cheap if your cruise package does not include it. Cost depends upon the speed and type of package which you use, whether it's for messaging only or to include streaming. A single day comes in from $31, but if you buy the whole cruise, then they advertise prices from $16 per day. As an alternative, it might be worth considering eSIMs for port stops if your phone is eSIM enabled.
So let's sum up now. A ship like Wonder of the Seas will certainly not be for everybody, but we think that these mega ships have the potential to offer something even to guests who are very sceptical about whether it's a good fit for them.
We're going to offer some useful tips, both positive and negative, in a moment, but first, let's see if we can help you decide whether an Oasis Class ship, and specifically Wonder of the Seas, might be worth your hard-earned vacation time and cash.
So, by their very nature, the size of Oasis Class ships means that they offer a bigger and generally better choice and variety of dining venues, bars, facilities and entertainment than smaller ships can manage. It is true to say that many of the activities around the pool decks are targeted at younger cruisers, and, combined with the youth programmes, these make a compelling argument to choose these vessels if you have a young family.
Now, we've alluded to this in the video, but our take on it is that Wonder of the Seas is particularly orientated towards younger families, and we base this on a combination of the theatre entertainment, the facilities around the pool decks, for example just one flow rider, and some of the activities which were organised during the day. You also have to bear in mind that when this video was made, Wonder of the Seas is sailing out of Port Canaveral, which itself has a very strong marketing association with Orlando and is also therefore competing with Disney ships and all that Orlando has to offer.
Okay, so what about adults? Well, we'll be very honest and say that if we had known before we booked just how family orientated Wonder of the Seas is, then we would probably have selected a different Oasis Class ship for our vacation.
We absolutely think that this class of ship can offer adults travelling without children a great experience, but we're just not sure that Wonder of the Seas is the right choice simply because it is so child orientated that adult entertainment has, in our view, been sacrificed.
So, without children, what do adults get that makes Oasis Class ships stand out?
Well, the big sellers for us are the Aqua Theatre, ice shows, Royal Promenade parties, and on other ships, the Broadway style shows in the Royal Theatre. These are almost unique to Royal Caribbean ships.
The complimentary food options, particularly the main dining room, are of a good standard. The service is smiley, efficient and effective. If you're a fan of specialty restaurants and happy to pay significant extra for them, then these ships offer an amazing selection and the standard is very, very high.
There is an additional dimension to the selection of staterooms, and the variety of bars is outstanding. Central Park is a stunning venue both during the day and at night, and the solarium, whilst crowded at times, is generally a great place to escape the noise and bustle when there are lots of kids on board.
So, what would our tips be to help make your time aboard extra special? And what do we really not like?
Let's start with the good stuff.
So we love to relax in the area at the back of the ship on deck 5 as the jogging track turns the corner.
Central Park is a very special area and rarely crowded day or night. We loved Park Cafe, Trellis Bar and Giovanni's Bar next to Giovanni's Specialty Restaurant.
Now the Aqua Theatre is a very special venue and almost worth a trip on an Oasis Class ship in itself.
Similarly, the ice show is a memorable piece of entertainment, and you can also go ice skating yourself.
Well, some people can. The card room on deck 14 is a nice spot, and although there is no escape room as such, the puzzle room, also on deck 14, is worth half an hour of your time. If you can't get a reservation, then it is worth turning up just before the start in case there's a no-show.
We'd suggest making an effort to try as many of the activities as you can. This might be one of the only times you get to go on slides like the Massive Abyss, the water slides, rock climbing wall, flow riders or zip line.
The solarium is a good venue, but if you're looking for sunbeds in a relatively peaceful spot, then head to deck 16 towards the front, backing on to Hooked Seafood.
So what's not so good?
Well, for us, on Wonder of the Seas, the biggest letdown was the Royal Theatre. So it might be worth doing some research to see what's being offered on the other Oasis Class ships if the theatre is an important part of your vacation, as it is for us.
Allied to this, we'd suggest that any cruise departing from Port Canaveral may be more child-orientated than those from other Florida ports.
Standard inside staterooms are very basic, and whilst adequate, we'd advise being aware that they sit in big blocks, and so you are likely to be surrounded directly by other staterooms on all sides.
Your stateroom is likely to only get one service per day, and if this matters to you, then Royal Caribbean may not be a good choice for you.
We think that specialty restaurants are relatively expensive on Royal Caribbean, but they do offer packages. We also will offer discounts on some days once on board, in particular if you're happy to eat in one on the very first night.
The drinks packages are expensive compared to rivals such as Princess, so either keep an eye out for discounts or question whether they will really pay for themselves.
One other small gripe. You have to sign pool towels out on Wonder of the Seas, which seems like an unnecessary chore to us. Celebrity and Princess don't require you to do this.
So that's it. We hope that you found this useful. Look out for our other cruise related videos and we wish you happy and safe travels.